right, we're here with Tim Parkin, who's actually a magician, but also a coach to marketing leaders. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Nick. Thanks so much for having me.
So we need to tell the brief marketing to magician connection because I think that's truly magical and will help people understand how you got into this, how you crushed it, and why you're kind of exploding right now in the marketing world.
Yeah, thank you so much. My background as a kid, I wanted to be a magician. My dad pulled quarters out of thin air and put them into a bucket, and I said, "We're going to be rich. This is amazing." And I learned there's a trick to it. But marketing and magic are so similar. Magic is all about storytelling and controlling attention and buyer psychology. And so then I moved into technology, did programming, software development, and now combining those two things, that's marketing. Marketing is technology, they're synonymous. And it's also about creating magic for people, telling a story that people want to pay attention, want to listen to, and people love to be fooled, but hopefully marketing is not about fooling people, it's about giving them an experience that they'll remember and tell other people.
Yeah, I think that experience often gets lost, and I think that's why I was super excited to talk to you in this because I don't know if you experience this a lot with some of the marketers you work with, but not the marketer so much, but maybe their boss expects, like, I ran one Facebook ad, where's all my money? Or like, I sponsored a post on this blog, where's my sales? And don't understand that just like a magic trick, there's a bit of a buildup that has to happen.
Yes.
And no one's really helping them put that together. Is that something you do with a lot of your customers?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge issue, this battle between marketing leaders and leadership. And often, like you said, there's this mismatch of expectations that isn't marketing some button that we push that prints money and doesn't happen like instantly. And I wish it was that easy, but you're right. If we think about how we buy things, how we make big decisions, like buying a house, you don't go and see one ad for the house and buy it immediately. There's a whole process there. And somehow, and particularly B2B, we think that this is different for us, that we're special, that somehow we can run that Facebook ad and get those leads and they convert instantly. And it's funny because in Magic, there is a whole process, like you said. There's a whole script that you say. There's a whole technique to what you do, and so much of it is hidden behind the scenes. And marketing is the same. Marketing is a process, not an event. And so we have to give it the time that it needs. But most of this is making sure we have the right things in place, that we understand the buyer's journey, and that we communicate those expectations to leadership that this is a journey for us and for the buyer, and you need to be along for the ride.
It's like a live textbook. This is amazing. Well, let's improvise a little bit. I think the goal of this little mini show is to look at like a real hypothetical plan. Put you in the advisor seat, and let people kind of experience what coaching might look like. Does that work?
For sure. Let's do it.
All right. Let's attempt to share the screen. Okay. So first, here's this. This is actually really cool. It looks like it's business and marketing automation AI. It's called Grobo.
Nice.
It's a real company. Definitely didn't make this up. And then, so here's the plan, like we kind of put together for them. So to explain this super quickly, here I have some rules. So the buyer journey has steps. Up at the top, you're attracting somebody. In the middle, you're converting. This is when you kind of get information that allows you to communicate with them, like an email or text or their name or preferences, and then captures when you actually convert them into a customer. So going back to our little tool here, these are the different steps that we put together. If someone came to you with a plan like this, like, we have no data, we have no idea what these will do, this company has never actually launched or published before, these are things that we've researched and read might work, and here's a sequence we think might be effective. How does it typically start?
Yeah, this is awesome. I love the plan. I love it's a real company. This is cool. Let's dive in. The first thing is, if you have no data, you don't know where to start. Obviously, you need to pick a place to start, and you can't do all of this at once, nor should you. And so when we look at optimizing things, especially the buyer journey, there's two directions you can go, from left to right or from right to left. And so if you need volume, if you need data, you want to start left to right and move that direction. If you already have the volume, if you already have the data and you want more results and conversions, you move right to left. And so in here, in this case, we would find the bottleneck, which right now is we don't have any data. We don't know if there's really any users coming to this site doing anything. So we'd start from the left-hand side, which would be looking at stage 1, stage 2 here. First is this free marketing strategy guide, and then the access to our marketing resource library. Yeah, and a live demo. So the question I would have here is, who is the ideal customer for this? Who is the real ICP of this tool. And it looks like it's, like you said, AI assisted automation for marketing folks. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Get your marketing content, blogs, emails,
Yeah.
human-like quality. Yeah, so these are marketers who need kind of a toolkit
Yeah,
and don't want to hire people.
totally.
So maybe as much as they can trust their AI and their programming skills, it can kind of automate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is where, how do we get attention fast, and how do we validate that people understand this need so we can earn the permission to talk to them about our thing. And so if this is about creating marketing content for them, then these people probably, realize, hopefully, that they have a content problem, that they want to create more content, create it faster or cheaper, or they need to be doing content and they're not doing content. So I would think about this first step here of the strategy guide, and how do we help them understand and capture that need of content. So we have here a free marketing strategy guide, a free video series, the fundamentals of digital marketing, and an invite to a marketing workshop. I would take those and make them a little bit more specific around content in particular, like content grading cheat sheet. How can you grade your content you're producing? Or a list of the best tools for creating content, or any kind of resource list like that. So these people know that they have a content problem. Hopefully they're aware of that problem. And so how can we connect that with them and say, okay, we need to have a cheat sheet or a rubric or a tool to grade that, or a list of the best tools on how to create content, the things they should be thinking about if they're thinking about content. Because we can assume people who have the need that we can solve will also be interested in those things. And those will be a great lead magnet for us to get people to raise their hand and say, yeah, this is me. I have a content problem, or I'm doing content, or I care about content. And so we'll have a really good opportunity and chance to talk to them then about how our tool can help them.
Interesting. So you stack it all the way at the top of the funnel first, so you can get some data or
Yes.
some traffic at least that then you can start to test against. Is that the way you look at
Exactly.
it?
This way we can start to get some people we can talk to, because I'm assuming here, and maybe they already have a huge email list, or maybe they already have a bunch of traffic, but if you don't have traffic, if you don't have an email list, if you don't have an audience on social, you need to get attention. And so the first step then is, how do we get attention? And you don't get attention by shouting the loudest. You get attention by whispering the right words to the right people. And so that's where we know, we can assume these people, again, are interested in content, are trying to create content. And so we want to think through, what are the problems that they're having? They probably don't have the right tools. They probably don't know how to evaluate the content, or maybe they just want some help with the content. So that's where I think a list of the tools would do really well, or a cheat sheet, evaluation rubric of how do we know our content is good. And so if we produced a tool like that, a one page, it says, here's how to evaluate content, or a one-page map of here's the types of content you should be producing, based on your industry or based on the stage of your company. That would also be helpful, because then they'll say, ooh, now I know what type of content to create. And you'll notice that's very intentional here. Something like that guides them on what type of content to create. The next question they'll have is, well, how am I going to create that content? If the guide says create video, how am I going to create video? If the guide says write blog post for SEO, how am I going to do that? And that's where our solution, in this case, Growbo, if we're talking about Growbo, would be, hey, we have the platform to help you do that, because our tool helps you create content.
It's a perfect fit. So if in this particular case, with this plan, we have no data. We don't have a relationship with Growbo. I hope they're okay with us making a random buyer journey for them. But when someone digs in with you and they do have a little bit of data, how does your process work? Like, how do you figure out where to focus, in the beginning when you're starting off a relationship with someone?
Absolutely. Well, typically people seem to have an idea of what's not working. They'll say things like, we don't have enough leads, or we haven't had enough leads in a while, or we have a lot of traffic but no one's doing anything, or we don't have the traffic and we're trying to do SEO so we can get some traffic. So generally people have a sense of where things are not working. But if you think about these stages and you were to evaluate them on like a low, medium to high, do you have enough awareness? That's the first thing. And if you don't, you need awareness. But then, are people engaging with your stuff? Are they visiting your website? Are they commenting and liking your social posts? Things like that. And then, are they opting in? Are they giving you their email address and saying, I want to hear more from you, or give me that resource? And finally, are those then people being nurtured through email and becoming qualified leads, opportunities in your pipeline? And so looking at those stages and figuring out where are you low, where are you high, can help you figure out excuse me, where to focus on to decide what's the lowest part and how do we improve that. We want to find the bottleneck. And so any data that we have will help with that, whether it's conversion rate of people on our email list who book demos, or traffic to the website who actually opts into the email. We want to find the bottleneck, start there, and then work backwards to improve it.
That's perfect. And you had, when we were talking before the show, you had a chart that looked almost exactly like our buyer journey map.
Yeah.
What we'll do, if you could send that to me after the show, we'll make sure that that's up here and visible, probably over this audio so people can see that.
Yeah.
But this is killer. So the big takeaway I think we're taking from this is that when you're getting off the ground, you have no data, put everything up at the top of the funnel, create content, try to win attention first.
Yes.
Because then you can kind of create some momentum.
Right. Yeah, you have no data, you have no people, you have no leads. You need to start with attention. But in this case here, I would prioritize ruthlessly. And so we have 4 things here in stage 1, and we want to pick one of these and validate it, test it, make sure that we can produce it quickly, develop it, get it out in the world as fast as possible, and then see, does it resonate? Do people respond to it, engage with it? And that will push people into stage 2 where we can do more stuff with them. You know, are people liking it? Are people commenting? Are people saying how great it is? Are they sharing it? Are they opting in for more stuff from us? So, but here right now we have 4 things in stage 1, and most marketing directors, marketing leaders will be overwhelmed by that, trying to do too much. So I would move, one of these to the top, and I would focus on that top one, and then ignore everything else until we have that, until we have some data and validate it. Always focus on the next step, not everything all at once.
We have, we're working on this is in beta, but we have this little priority hierarchy in here where you literally just, you click to increase the weight and it resorts itself, but kind of in beta.
That's great. That's necessary. Yeah. There's always too much to do in marketing. I had a podcast about this said, the work is never done. I think that is the truth of marketing. There's always more to do. The work is never done. And so it's really important that we prioritize and focus on, let's map out clearly what is the thing, what is our expectation, and how are we going to launch it. And I'll tell you one more tip here, which is what I call min-max. Whenever you launch something, sometimes you have a goal. We hope that this gets so many shares or so many comments or generates so many leads. It's more helpful, I think, to have a min-max, to say, we're going to launch this list of best tools. And at a minimum, in order to have success, it must get at least 500 visits, and it must get 20 likes on our LinkedIn, and it must generate 5 people raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to hear more from you. At a maximum, we hope it gets 2,000 visits and 50 likes on LinkedIn, and that we get 20 leads saying, this is amazing, and your resource was on this list, and I want to work with you. The benefit of a min-max is now you have a floor and a ceiling to work within. So afterwards, when everything's done and settled, you can say, how did we do on this rheostat of success? Not, hey, we missed the goal we set for ourselves arbitrarily. Because at this point, you don't have the data. You don't know what success is. You can't say it's going to generate so much traffic or so many leads. Yeah. So having a min-max gives you a framework to work within to say, at a minimum, we hope it does at least this, but at a maximum, this is our real target. And now you have a gradient to work within. It makes everything a lot easier to evaluate success.
Yeah, because you're always making progress, regardless, and you know where to aim.
And learning.
That's perfect.
And if you have the data, you can make more narrow min and max and be more accurate. But if you don't have the data, it's going to be a wide spread. And that's okay, because you don't know. That's why we're trying things and testing things here.
That's perfect. So I'm hoping that when we publish this, you get a min of 500 people asking you to walk through these sessions with them live.
There you go.
And we'll have to recap and see how we did. But thank you so much for coming on. People just find you on LinkedIn. Is that the best place to connect?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is amazing. I post there daily, 6 times a week. And I also have a podcast called the Marketing Director Daily as well, the Daily Podcast, as the name implies. So we'd love to connect with anybody and talk more about this and share with them all the stuff we're doing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.